Hello everyone, how are y'all? You're getting better day by day at English, am I right? Yes, you are. And today we are going to see this poem that we have, Keeping Quiet, in our class 12 syllabus. So here we go with the literary devices of the poem. Do you think it is necessary for us to learn all these literary devices? Yes, of course. We need to understand them so that we'll be able to write our answers better. If we are not clear, it's going to cause some kind of a loss for us in the examinations. Why should we incur any loss? No, we shall not. So here we go with Pablo Neruda's the poem that we have in Flamingo, that is Keeping Quiet. So the first literary device that we have is assonance. Please remember, whatever literary devices are repeated in different stanzas, I put them together so that you will be able to understand what is what. So what is assonance? It is the use of vowel sound of O and E. These two. So, in this sentence, now we will count to 12, not move our arms so much. In this, what do we have? All the places we have here, O. And you see, even in the next line also, victory with no survivors would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers. Even in this, we have this O repeated, which is nothing but assonance. We also said that there is E, isn't it? You look at this first sentence here. Now we will count to 12. In this we have E. So let me take another color for this. Here it is E. For 12, we have even here for move. And this is how it is. So let's go to the next line, that is anaphora. So let's now go to the next literary device, and that is anaphora. What is anaphora? Anaphora is nothing but the repetition of a word or words in the beginning of a line. It could be in any stanza, any place, but it has to be in the beginning of the line. So that too, minimum 2 consecutive lines it should have. So the lines that we have here is, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second. So let's. These are 2 lines actually here, and the repetition of this let's is given in this. And this is anaphora. Let's now go to the next one, alliteration. This alliteration you had been learning it from maybe class 8 or 9. So what is alliteration? It is a repetition of the consonant sounds at the beginning of a word in any given line. So these words must be at least 2, and the number of words in the middle should not be more than 2 or 3. Maximum 2 or 3 words can come in between. The best thing is they should be one beside the other. So what are they? We have here wa sound repeated in we will. We have here we will, wa sound is repeated, and sir sound is repeated in second, stop and second. Once again we have wa sound repeated, we would, and in the next line we have sudden strangeness, sir sound repeated. In the brackets you have the stanza numbers here, so you can understand where is what very easily. In the next line over here, we have her sound repeated, and that is his hurt hands. So that is in stanza number 2. What else do we have? Let's go to the continuation of alliteration. Once again we have wa sound repeated, and that is wars with. And for the next 2 words we have ka sound repeated for clean clothes. Once again wa sound, we were, and then we have sa sound repeated, and that is for so single-minded. I'm sure you are able to understand what is what that we learned so far. In case you are not able to understand, Pause the video, go back and recheck before you continue further. The next one that we have here is symbolism. What actually is symbolism? Symbolism, it involves using an object or action to represent an idea. See, in order to tell about some idea, an object is used or else an action is used. In this poem particularly, we have counting to 12, and this is something different, unique style, and that is the symbolism here. And though it is a brief period, it represents the moment of the global stillness and unity. What actually is stillness here? No war, peace. Everyone should have brotherhood. It is positive. That's the reason why this idea is represented in such a way. Look at stanza number 1 example we have. Now we will count to 12. So counting 12 is symbolic here, that is symbolism. And in the next stanza 2, fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, the man gathering salt. So these three, you get the symbolism. Now in case you talk about the fishermen, you think about how they go to the cold sea and do their work. So once again, it is here symbolic. What else do these people do? That is the fishermen. They go to the cold sea and they harm the whales. Harming the whales is not done by them right now. Why? They don't go. It is because they wanted a peaceful environment. They wanted positivity for the whole of the world. And so that is symbolism. Look at the next line here. The man gathering salt. What is wrong in man gathering salt? There is a lot wrong. It is because when you do one thing again and again and again, over and over, the small thing itself causes a lot of problem. That's the reason why it is told that a small thing makes a lot of difference. And a person who is gathering salt day in and day out has a lot of health issues, especially with the hands. And so that again is symbolism. What's the next thing that we have in store? And that is metonymy. What is this metonymy? It is a figure of speech where a thing or concept is referred to by the name of something closely associated with it. That means they wanted to explain about something, but direct explanation is not done. Instead, they are going to take something which is associated with the word or the point which they wanted to explain. So here, language. Language is taken. Why is this language taken? See the sentence here. Here, language is used to represent different races and cultures, indicating a global silence transcending cultural differences. That is the reason why the poet said, let's not speak in any language. What does it indicate? When each person speaks in his or her own language, everyone is putting forth their ideas, but if different languages are used, no one understands what is what. And so what happens? There is a clash, and that is not a right thing. That is why this metonymy is used. So in order to make us understand that, let us not fight. Let us be with brotherhood, peace. The poet has used the word language. The next one is hyperbole. Hyperbole is nothing but exaggerating something, taking a small thing, a minute thing, and making it too much. See how the explanation is given. It is an exaggerated statement not meant to be taken literally. Means do not take the meaning of the words as it is. Instead, you should understand the inner meaning of it. The phrase, for once on the face of the earth, exaggerates the rarity and global scale of the action being suggested, emphasizing its significance. What's the meaning of all of this? Do not think that something is going to happen on the face of the earth only once. No. Take anything that we do in our lives. Do we do only once in our life anything? We do repeated actions. Just take one day for instance. Right from the time you wake up till you go to sleep, many things are repeated, isn't it? So, do not expect things to not happen on the face of the earth. I have underlined here rarity, means it is not something which cannot happen. It happens. So, what is it here? It is hyperbole. For once on the face of the earth, never think that it should happen only once. It should happen again and again and again. What is that? Peace, brotherhood, bonding. There should be no war. There should be no negativity. It would be an exotic moment. What's the meaning of this exotic moment? Something strange. Usually, when something must be perfect, excellent. See, we expect certain things to happen in a wonderful manner, but we cannot expect to happen all the time. And that's the reason, again, the poet is telling it is hyperbole. So, it would be an exotic moment. That is from stanza number 2. In case you remember, maybe you were younger at that time when this pandemic was there. How was the world? Nothing went on in a normal way. Forget about all the things, you couldn't go to the school. It was an exotic moment. Buses did not ply. People did not go to work. All these things are the best examples of exotic moment, and it is hyperbole. We cannot accept them to be longer period of time. Is it clear? And see the next one, a huge silence. Silence for some time is accepted, but if it is totally silent, no, it cannot be accepted, and that's the reason why it is hyperbole. I think you all remember in your class itself, take small things. When you are asked to keep quiet, how long do you all keep quiet? For a short while, maybe a few minutes, and slowly one starts, another starts, and they continue the talk. So, a huge silence. If you take the whole world, how will it become? Can you bear the silence? No. That's the reason why they say sometimes silence is deafening the ears. It becomes unbearable. What's the next thing that we need to learn? And that's your imagery. Imagery has the word image in it. It means you get pictures into your mind's eye. What sort of pictures do you get? Anything that you read becomes like a reel in your brain, and that's what is given here. It involves using descriptive language to create a vivid picture in the reader's mind. That is, a clear picture comes into your mind's eye and you understand it better. It means you get a vivid picture, that is, a clear picture comes into your mind and you understand everything better than before. This line creates an image of physical stillness and rest, underscoring the theme of pausing and reflection. The main theme here is there should be no war, there should be no bloodshed. Instead, there should be brotherhood, there should be understanding, there should be positivity. And that's the reason why the poet is telling, and not move our arms so much is the image that we get. And the next one, fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales. Another one, the man gathering salt would not look at his hurt hands. Please remember, the same lines have 2 or 3 literary devices. So, double check, understand and memorize them. These things are like the tables. You need to understand and memorize so that in case in the examination they give only one of it in MCQs, you must be able to understand that it is the correct choice. So, do not miss it. The other thing with imagery is might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves. So, you get the picture of sadness, someone sad, someone who is so sad that you are not able to understand your own self. As when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Here, think about the earth. They told that earth appears to be as if it is dead. But what happens? Suddenly, you find leaves sprouting and there is crop, there is growth, there is fertility. That is what the poet means here with this imagery. And the next one is juxtaposition. Juxtaposition, it is the placement of contrasting elements close together to highlight their differences. That means there are two words which are opposite and we are placing them together. And we can understand the point clearly when they are put together. So, here the absence of rush and engines is set against the idea of an exotic moment. See, in case there is rush and engines, what will happen? Can you expect it to be an exotic moment? You cannot. But here the poet says that absence of rush and engines can make exotic. And that's the reason it is juxtaposition. Placing two opposite things together. And what else is there here? The same thing. Without rush, without engines. Now the next thing is oxymoron. Oxymoron is similar to juxtaposition. Now you see the thing here. It is a figure of speech that combines contradictory terms. Contradictory here is opposite, something which cannot be together. Both of them are together. This phrase juxtaposes victories with no survivors, highlighting the futility and tragedy of war. What actually is the result of war? Can you expect anything positive from war? We cannot. We should never expect that. And that is the reason why oxymoron is used here. Because there are people who are victorious, there are some who are the losers. Whoever it is, whether you are a winner or a loser, even the victorious ones, what do they have? There are no survivors. So when these two things are put together, it becomes oxymoron. The next thing is repetition. Repetition is one of the easiest literary devices that you have. Anything which is repeated over and over again, sometimes in the same stanza, sometimes in some other stanza, it is for the sake of emphasizing, to make it prominent, important. And see here, it involves using the same word or phrase multiple times to emphasize a concept. The repeated use of wars highlights the persistent theme of conflict and its consequences. What's the theme that we should remember here? It is conflict, and when there is a conflict, the consequences are grave. So those two things are repeated. Why are they repeated? To make us understand that it is bad to have war. Wars with gas, wars with fire. That is there in stanza number 3. Now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. Here the word wars is repeated. In the next one, what is there? Please check it. Now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. So what is the thing which is repeated here? The thing which is repeated is how the counting is done and how the other person has to keep quiet and then the person goes. This is there in the beginning of the poem and it is there in the end of it, and that is the repetition there. Transferred epithet is the next important one. I always tell my students the best example is happy birthday. Is it your birthday today? Yes. See, we wish happy birthday. Are we wishing the person who is celebrating the birthday, or are we wishing birthday itself a happy day? Isn't it different? That means what actually is happening to transferred epithet? Transferred epithet is when an adjective usually used to describe one thing is transferred to another. In the best example that we had seen before, instead of directly wishing someone happy day, for you, you are happy. Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, little one this, little one that. Instead, they're making the birthday. That means adjective is used not for the correct one, But what is it used for? It is used for the another one. And an epithet is a word or phrase which describes the main quality of someone or something. So, whenever you are talking about a phrase, a word, and the main quality of it is to explain about someone or something, then it becomes an epithet. And here, fishermen in the cold sea. Here, we have used the word, not we, I am explaining it to you, the poet has used cold sea. It is a fisherman who is suffering from the coldness, but the poet has made the sea into cold, and that's the reason why it means it is transferred epithet. Another meaning for the word cold here is someone who is aloof, someone who is not friendly. So in that way also you can remember it. The next one is pun. What is pun? Pun is nothing but a play on words that creates a humorous or thought-provoking effect. In this poem, the poet had used "and not move our arms so much." When it is generally taking our arms, the upper portion of the body, moving the arms. This is the regular meaning that we understand. But the real meaning here is fighting, shooting. So the poet used word play here, and that is pun. It has double meaning. I hope you have understood it. The next one is irony. What is irony? It involves the contrast between expectations and reality. What's your expectation and what's the reality? If both of them match, it is real. It's normal. If they are not matching, then it becomes irony. Now look at the example given here. Green wars. Do you think wars can ever be green? No. All the greenery is demolished. That's the reason why it becomes irony. See the other one. Wars with gas, wars with fire, whatever it is. We are not getting any kind of positivity out of it. That's the reason it is irony. Victories with no survivors. Once again, you have victory, it is positive. When you have no survivors, how can it be positive? It can never ever be so. And that's the reason why it is once again irony here. Look at the sentence, victories with no survivors. See, victory is something positive. But in case victories do not have survivors, how can it be positive? It is not. It is totally negative. That's the reason why it is irony here. Now the next one is paradox. See, the three words, three literary devices are similar. What are they? Juxtaposition, oxymoron, paradox. See this paradox. It is a statement that contradicts itself but reveals a deeper truth. This phrase suggests that doing nothing in this context is not about inactivity but about choosing life over death. A concept that seems contradictory but is deeply meaningful within the poem's theme. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. That means here contradiction is there for whatever is given. What's the example that is given here? See the sentence. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. The poet is again and again telling, keep quiet, isn't it? But does it mean to say that a person should never ever do anything? No, that is not the point. The poet means to tell that we have to do positive things, productive things, but not the negative ones. And that is why this paradox is the literary device that we should remember, use and understand perfectly. The next one is enjambment. What is enjambment? It is the continuation of a sentence without a pause beyond the end of a line, couplet or stanza. This technique creates a sense of flow and continuity, emphasizing the interconnectedness of the ideas presented. That means there is no full stop or comma or question mark or anything like that at the end of the line. It shows just like continuous flow. Why is it done? It is done for the sake of showing the interconnectedness for the whole of the theme. So the example here is, and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt the sadness of never understanding ourselves and threatening ourselves with death. So that is how it is. See the next one. This is hypothetical situation. In other terms, you can remember it as conditional statement. Once you say conditional statement, that means do something, you'll get something. If you don't do this, you will not get that. It is in that way. See here, it is conditional statement that presents a hypothetical situation suggesting a different way of living in contrast to our usual state of constant motion and purpose. What's the meaning of it? When regularly what we do is different, what the poet is asking us to do is different. Is it so? No, it is one and the same. Negativity, we individuals do not do negativity, it is the nations which fight. It is the countries which wanted to show their dominance over the other ones. So what is here? The poet is telling, if we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing. The poet is telling that what should our single-mindedness be in this context? Just come on, move, move, move. That should not be there. Instead, what should it be there? We must understand that in case we do not do anything, it is positive here because they're asking us not to go for war, not to do anything negative. The next one is personification. Personification, I tell my students to remember it in a simple way. If anything becomes a person, like a person, then it is personification. That means it attributes human characteristics to non-human entities or abstract concepts. A huge silence, making silence as a human being, and that's why it is personification. Might interrupt the sadness. Again, sadness also is personified. Here, silence is given the human quality to interrupt, suggesting it has the power to actively intervene in our emotional state. The emotional state here is sadness. Perhaps the earth can teach us. Here, earth has become a teacher, so earth is personified. The next one is metaphor. Metaphor, simile can be understood easily if it is metaphor, direct comparison of one thing to another thing without the usage of like or as. But if we have like or as, it becomes simile. Look at the example here. It describes an object or action in a way that isn't literally true but helps explain an idea or make a comparison. Remember, it is to make a comparison, taking one thing, comparing it with another thing. These two might have the same qualities or they might not have also. Here the metaphor suggests that a relentless pace of life and lack of self-understanding are akin to a threat of death, emphasizing the detrimental effects of our lifestyle. So what is the poet comparing? He is comparing that our lifestyle is in such a way that they are almost equivalent to death. Comparing lifestyles to death is metaphor. In case the sentence had been lifestyles are as death, then it becomes simile. Another one you please see, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. In one part, they are telling us that everything appears to be dead. But in reality, what is happening? It appears to be alive. That again is about the earth, and we saw it in the last stanza. The next one and the last one is contrast. What is contrast? Again showing two things which are opposite. Look at it. It is the stark contrast, that is the opposite things together, and this seems dead and what proves to be alive highlights the transformative power of nature and the potential for unexpected renewal. The poet is talking about how two things can be shown which are opposite, contrasting. That is here something which appears to be dead, but later which looks real, alive. That is about the earth. We get that in the last stanza. Everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. That's in stanza 5. I hope everyone has understood the literary devices of this poem. And this is Mrs. Krishnapriya signing off. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. See you all soon with the next interesting video which will help you out. Bye.